construction of the Somnath Mandir, the same ecosystem to stop a sharp distinction between Hinduism and Hindutva. In fact, it happened on the same very day. Prime Minister spoke in the morning and this debate happened in the evening. Now, Trinamool Congress MP Mahua Moitra said, and I quote, Hindutva believes that mine is the only way. Hinduism believes there is a room for a lot of others. Now, in Hinduism, one can imagine love between Hindus and Muslims, but a Hindutva practitioner will say no. This is love jihad. Does Hinduism need to protect itself from Hindutva? The BJP hit back saying, and it was Sudhanshu Trivedi and of course Jesai Deepak, Swapandas Gupta who were present there, Hinduism gives you the authority to debate on even religious texts, which is why is ism associated with all religions which originate in Bharat and towards the east. Now, when you cherish Hinduism, it is called Hindutva. Now, has the ecosystem proven Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Somnath allegation? Is this entire secular, quote-unquote, as they are called, Break Bharat forces, have they finally been exposed? This is the Twa versus Ism plot, viewers, and is that deliberately intended to drive a wedge in Hindu Samaja, Hindu society, and of course the Hindu way of life in Hindustan? These are questions that we ask. Listen into what the Prime Minister had to say.
Hindutva believes that as a political platform, mine is the only way, and Hinduism believes as a religion and a spiritual platform that there is room for a lot of others along the way. Hindu practices and Hinduism can imagine love between Hindus and Muslims. A Hindutva practitioner will say, no, this is love jihad. So a Bengali Hindu eating meat will offer meat to Ma Kali, but a practitioner of Hindutva will say that's not on. So the core question here is, does Hinduism need to protect itself from Hindutva?
Which culture gives you the authority to debate even on religious texts? It is only Hindu. Shastrarth in Vedas. Then I would like to ask, why the term Hinduism? Why the ism is associated with all the religions which originated from India? Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism and Jainism. Never you have heard Islamism and Christianism. Ism word is being associated just to demean, and what Hindutva is? Hindu Tattva. This is nothing but the basic immunity of the Hinduism is Hindu Tattva. Another thing I would like to say, when you cherish Hinduism, it is called Hindutva.
Tuhin Sinha, Kamru Chaudhary, Dr. Anand Ranganathan with us. My namaste, Jai Hind, Vande Mataram. Thank you for your patience. To our guests, thank you very much. Tuhin Sinha, who suffers from a constipation of thought and diarrhea of expression? The Twa forces or the Ism forces?
Anand, namaste everybody. Namaste, Anand, namaste everybody. You know, as we heard in a recent movie, Hindu का सबसे बड़ा दुश्मन हिंदू ही होता है. You know, it is people like Mani Shankar Iyer, people like Mahua Moitra, who want to invent, who want to manufacture a binary which does not exist. Hinduism and Hindutva. Hinduism and Hindutva primarily are the same. But yes, when you manufacture that binary, it basically implies that you are, allergic to that Hindutva, to that brand of Hindutva, which apart from being accommodating, which apart from being equally compassionate, is also revivalist, is also resurgent, is also resilient. Now, since you mentioned about Prime Minister Modi's speech yesterday, let me also, tell you what Nehru wrote in his book about the same plunder of Dwarka, and look at the detached manner, look at the indifferent manner, look at the rather condescending manner in which he spoke about his own people, the people of Bharat. From Thaneshwara, Gajni took away, it is said, 2 lakh captives and vast wealth, but it was in Somnath that he got the most treasure. For this was one of the great temples, and the offerings of centuries had accumulated here. It is said that thousands of people took refuge in temple when Mahmud approached in the hope that a miracle would happen and the god they worship would protect them. But the miracles seldom occur except in the imagination of the faithful, and the temple was broken and looted by Mahmud, and 50,000 people perished waiting for the miracle which did not happen. Do you see the number of times he has emphasized that miracles do not happen, that our people did not have the courage, or they were too meek and submissive just because, they accumulated in one place, which is the temple? So that same mentality percolates down to Manishankar Iyer, that same mentality percolates down to Bahua Moitra. They are basically subservient people who cannot cope with the concept of a Hinduism, of a Hindutva rather, which takes pride in its civilizational resilience and which gives it back to marauders. So I think, Hinduism, when you employ the term ism, that anyway carries a somewhat negative connotation, because we don't talk about Christianity in that
Right.
manner. We don't talk about Christianism.
But the thing is,
so I think it is
for the
about
last
time
12
these
years,
people need to be called out.
This word has not been corrected even in the lexicon as far as our textbooks are concerned. It's not replaced with Hindutva. It still is Hinduism, and it is still referred to as Hinduism even from the echelons and the corridors of government and power when they speak in English. The top bureaucrats in the Ministry of Education, the top ministers in the government, they all use Hinduism and they don't use Hindutva. So if you say that Hinduism is a schism and it should be done away with, it should have been done away with 12 years ago, if that's the thought process. If it continues to percolate,
I do feel, Anand, that such...
It is a fair criticism of the fact that if it's a strong view, then it should be implemented.
I do feel this change of thought needs to come voluntarily. It cannot be thrust upon people whose tendencies are basically deceitful. And that deceitful tendency was on display. So, when we don't thrust, when we don't impose things, it is in a way good. Because the deceptive tendencies of people come to the fore, which is what happened in the Kolkata debate yesterday.
Right. Okay. Kamru Chaudhary.
It becomes easier to identify traitors.
Right. Kamru Chaudhary.
Anand, you see how people are trying to normalize this thing, Hindutva with Hinduism. As I believe that Hindutva is a political ideology that reshapes religion as a tool of power. It is a supremacist ideology which tries to undermine the basic tenets of our constitution. Why I say Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Sikh, Buddhism, these are all questions of faith. We all respect each other's religion. But what does Hindutva say? It seeks to redefine India as a Hindu Rashtra, where cultural legitimacy flows from adherence to a majoritarian identity. Directly contradicts the constitution in a different articles of the constitution, maybe 14, 15, 25 to 28. But the problem is not about the Hinduism, problem is not about other religions, is the problem the Hindutva creates when the state becomes an equal partner in its majoritarian agenda. Like yesterday we have been seeing in Somnath, a cultural event that happened thousands of years ago, has been replaced by our Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister of a secular state, by participating in the Swabhiman Yatra, or the the Yatra that yesterday in Somnath we have seen. What does it symbolize? It symbolizes a supremacist attitude of the Prime Minister. A Prime Minister of a secular country has been elected, has been set up as to the topmost post of the executive to run and govern the party. Not to participate in symbolic events. It might cater to a particular section of the society. It might cater to the Hindutva agenda. But does it benefit the 140 crore people of the country? The moot question is this. I don't want to get into an ideological battle of what's right or not. But it sets a narrative of a single cultural identity.
Can you share some facts that underwrite your belief about what Hindutva is? You made a very strong claim that I believe this is what is Hindutva. So can you please share some facts that underwrite your belief, Kamru Chaudhary? Because in your deposition and in your right now, you called the plunder loot of Somnath, the massacre of 50,000 people, as a cultural event, sir. That's what you did.
There are
you use iti for Christian, for the Christian faith. You use no suffix for Islam, but you used ism for Bodh and also for the Hindu way. My question to you, sir, this is despite us explaining ism is a divisionary suffix. Iti is the same as twa. It's explained. And for Islam, you didn't say Islamism.
That's
You
the
will say
problem.
Islam. No, why? Why is
That
it that
is
you have
the problem.
curated
That
the,
is the
no,
problem.
why is it that you have
Anand, please
curated the lexicon in such a way, and what is it that underwrites your belief? Please tell me.
Listen, I'm not going into the grammar of isms and why
You
this
should,
is not
because
there.
you will
No,
you because
I'm
you
com-
went
because
into the
that's a
grammar to say
narrative that
you
you
did
want to
you
create
you
out
went
here.
into the grammar
That's
to say
a narrative
Islam, right?
that you want to create
No,
here.
you went
India
into
is a
Kamruji, you went into the
civilizational
grammar.
plural.
You stuck to the grammar to say Islam, because you know you will not say Islamism. You didn't say the Christian faith. You said Christianity. Why did you say that? Why didn't you challenge and say, why is it not called Hinduity or Hindutva rather than Hinduism? Why is it not called Baudh rather than and Buddhism? But before that, you said that Hindutva, this is what I believe Hindutva is. What underwrites that belief? Tell me that. Give us the facts, sir.
Will I get 2 minutes, please?
Yeah.
Because very important question. You know, why I say this, we all know India is a civilizational plural society. We have accommodated Christians, we have accommodated Muslims, we have accommodated the Mughal invaders into India. We have seen the ups and downs in history. But Hindu, Buddhist, Jain, Sikh, Christian tradition, tribal, Dravidian, Persian, Central Asian, colonial influences, all have come into India, and we have made a very plural civilization that is called the Indian civilization. But now when you come to debate with Hindutva, that as we are seeing it right now, what is it exactly? What does it promote? It promotes a homogenized Hindu society, Hindu identity.
That is
It's
Hindutva. You just explained Hindutva. The
Yes,
plurality,
that's-
the Hindu way,
so-
the
so-
inclusive Hindu way
so
of
how
life
does
in Hindustan
Hindutva
is Hindutva.
thrive?
So then how can you believe
Hindutva-
Hindutva is a decisive force or a political force?
No,
You're underwriting the facts that you're outlining gives a totally different definition of Hindutva compared to what you claim your political belief is or politically drafted belief is.
When I said it treats diversity as a deviation, the Indian plural society does not get into a homogeneous society. We are a multilinguistic, multicultural, multi-religious society.
No, so that is it. So then every
No, what
every
does
religion,
Hindutva say? It propagates the supremacy of a particular religion. over the
where
other
does it
religion.
say this? Where
It's
does
like
it say?
a
No,
cancer
where does
cell.
it say that? No,
It's
where
like
does
a
it say
cancer
that?
cell.
No, you have
Hell
said
went
this is
on
what one
destroying
minute.
the other
Kamru
cells
Chaudhary,
of
you
the body.
said this is what Hindutva says. Where does it say it?
I said the actions over the
No,
last
you
few
just now
years
said
that we have sent.
No. That is not Hindutva. You have decided that this is the definition of Hindutva. This is what Hindutva says. Where does it say?
I'm coming.
Sir, I will
I'm coming.
I will
Let me
very
take the
clearly
act of the
I will
Citizenship
clearly call
Amendment
you
Act.
out in a maybe and therefore kind of an explanation
No,
which is nothing
no.
but
I'm giving you a
distortion.
specific
This is the
example.
classic left liberal, left historian
no.
angle with
I've
which
got
they
nothing.
distorted Bharat's history and Bharat's lexicon also. So that's why I'm asking you, where does Hindutva say that it is exclusionist, it is fascist in its nature or extremist in its nature, where it says me and nobody else? In fact, the tenets of certain other religions mandate that, with definitions which have not yet been erased from their lexicon, like kufr, etc. But there is no word called kufr in Hindutva. There is no thought process which says you are going to be excluded.
Anand. You are wrong. Just take
There
the
is no thought
2019
process in Hindutva,
Act of
sir.
Citizenship
In fact, tell
Act.
me one way of life which accommodates even atheists. Darwinian atheists like Dr. Anand Ranganathan are embraced and allowed to debate only in Hindutva, sir. They are not allowed. They were fatwas were issued against people like them in Islam, and orders to be hung till death or put on the
Anand,
cross
just give me
on
30
stakes and
seconds.
burnt alive were given in the Christian
given
faith
10
to people like
10 minutes
people
to
like
this man.
Darwin.
Give me 30 seconds.
No, Anand
30
Ranganathan.
seconds. Just
Sir,
30
my
seconds, I'll
point
get
is,
it
sir,
over.
my point is, sir, you've
I'll
come
just
prepared.
get over
You've
with
come
the 30
prepared with a
seconds.
script you're reading through, but that script is not based on facts. It's full of distortion. You have not given me 1 ounce of fact that says where did you get this
You
quote
don't
and
want to
definition of
take
Hindutva?
out the- take in
Anand
the
Ranganathan.
facts. You don't want to take
No,
in
no,
the
no,
facts,
sir.
so you will not listen.
No. I asked you to quote. You have not quote. You have given
I
me
told
the
you
quote. Yes,
2019
Dr. Ranganathan. Dr.
Citizenship Act is
Dr.
an
Ranganathan.
exclusively
evening,
Hindutva agenda.
Dr. Ranganathan.
Thank you. Good evening, Anand. You've given 10 minutes to Kamru. I hope you'll give me less than half of that. Thank you, because it's a very enchanting discussion and it's wonderful to have disparate views. Look, quote, Hindutva means the Indian culture and not merely the Hindu religion, unquote. This was the famous conclusion of the Supreme Court back in 1995, packed with judges with left liberal and centrist predilection, with the judgment written by none other than the liberal hero Justice J.S. Verma. But here is the thing. even if you do not believe the Supreme Court that Hindutva is the twa or essence of Hinduism and means the Indian culture and prescribe to it a political or social motive, even then, Hindutva is not supremacist but rather a defensive force to counter attack on Hinduism. Islamists, Darbaris, as well as their chauthi-fail leftist chums never tire of drawing a false equivalence of Hindutva with Taliban, claiming there's nothing wrong with Islam or Hinduism, but everything wrong with Taliban and Hindutva. This is merely to cushion Islamic fundamentalism because they know very well that the Taliban are only following Islamic fundamentals. Stopping the Taliban from following what is written in the Holy Book is like preventing me from following what is written in Darwin's Origin of Species. We are just the medium. How are we guilty of radical or extremist? The Taliban are only following the Sharia and the word of Allah on how a woman should dress 24, 31, 33, 59, 7, 26, on how a wife should behave 434, or when a woman can be flogged 24, 2, 212, on what should be done with non-believers 456. Tell me, is it Hindutva that calls non-believers the worst of creatures? Is it Hindutva that forbids marrying them? Is it Hindutva that recommends conditional wife beating? Were they believers of Hindutva who blew up the Bamiyan Buddhas? Is Hindutva responsible for 31,221 major terror attacks since 2001? Just because you are embarrassed by the violence, misogyny and bigotry commanded by your holy book, you bring in a false equivalence to deride Hindutva? So here is an open challenge for all those who hate Hindutva. List just 5 principles, diktats, commandments that you hate in Hindutva that are not already there in Islam. Just 5. And if you can't, then will you declare that you will henceforth hate Islam as much as you deride Hindutva?
But Dr. Anganathan,
अरे 5 छोड़ो 3 ही बता दो, just 30 seconds. And as for Mani Shankar here, I'm afraid there is as much intellect in him as there is MDH, Garam Masala and authentic sambar. Look, I being a Darwinian atheist, as you yourself told I am, I have no skin in the game, but this much I do know. Hinduism has survived 8 millennia, Anand, because it imbibes the scientific virtues of diversity, empathy, independent thought and reform. In Hinduism, religion is an offshoot of the way of life, while in Abrahamic religions, way of life is an offshoot of religion. It follows that the former is less shackled by rigidity or by rules or dictates and is more mutatable, celebrating diversity of its followers. As always, the source, the fountainhead, dictates the mutability and eagerness to change. In Hinduism, there are sects that promote and celebrate atheism, Charvaks. There are sects that reject Vedas altogether, Linkayat. How gloriously ironical is that? Rejecting your holy scriptures and yet being proud Hindus.
Dr. Ranganathan?
Religion? Hinduism is an all-accepting, all-questioning idea. It is an open forum, welcoming all. The more the merrier, and that is why it needs to be saved.
Dr.
And only
Ranganathan,
Hindutva can save it.
Dr. Ranganathan, I have only one humble request, start calling it Hindutva. So it has to become in the lexicon, the word Hinduism has to be reduced and the mention of that. Because that itself allows those who want to divide to figure out ways to divide. Coming back, yeah. So the idea is to start calling it back. The other thing is that
Just 10 seconds, Anand. What I don't understand is when Kamru said that we are all proud inheritants of ancient civilization that welcomes all. Obviously, his ancestors were Hindu. How did so much poison and hatred come in that he started to divide and started hating Hinduism and Hindutva? I want to understand that.
I think from Kamru's point of view, I don't think that he has ever said that he hates. He hates Hinduism or the Hindu way of life. His point is, and it's a political argument that's being created, is to try and let's create a political division, and there is a political expression of the Hindu way, and that is Hindutva forces. That's what they have done. But it's disrespect.
If you hate Hinduism.
One doesn't need to hate something to not love it.
Yes.
So
No.
You can be
hate
neutral.
kafirs.
You can be neutral. But the idea is not. It's not a Hindu versus non-Hindu or a non.
Anand, I'm sorry to say that.
Right
I'm
now,
being
it's not a faith
politically
binary.
correct,
One minute.
But
Right
you
now-
can't be.
Right
The
now-
moment you bring a distinction
now-
of kafir,
Right now it's
non-believer,
not-
kill the
right
atheist,
now it's
you
a-
hate those people.
Right now, it's not the faith binary. It's the ideology binary where one says it's the way of life versus the political ideology Tuhin Sinha, and and there were no Muslims on the stage who were making the argument. They were all people who are purportedly following the Hindu way of life and the Hindu belief or the Sanatan belief systems, and each may have their point. But Tuhin Sinha, isn't it sad that people who are really advanced in the public walk of life, people who have been MPs, elected representatives, made the arguments that were made, and collectively, despite the House voting in favor of the Twa forces and rejecting the motion of the House, motion of the debate, it was called a no-win. So,
You know, the second part
Yes.
that you mentioned is more significant. The second part that you mentioned, Anand, is more significant. You know, in the heart of Kolkata, among the Bhadralok of Kolkata, certain changes in thought process are happening, which is frustrating the likes of woke Hindus even more. So, you know, I don't know how much Mahua Moitra, the great Mahua Moitra, has studied about Hindutva, or how much she knows about what Hindu, being a Hindu actually entails. But for her to make statements which ideally, should be made by Islamists to, like Anand mentioned, to create a false equivalence, only shows her compromised mindset. You know, it is this mindset. It is this mindset which dates back to Nehru's thought process, which dates back to the time when India achieved independence. And had this thought process not been there, India would not have been staring at a distorted demography with major demographic challenges going ahead. So if we have, allowed a distorted demography, if we have allowed a lot of harm to the Hindu civilization, it is only because of this compromised mindset which made everything seem passe, which, Hindu interests, Hindu emotions did not matter. Now, I don't understand any reason why Nehru should, in a very snide way, in a very oblique way, question the Hindu faith, and the Hindu faith was insufficient in withstanding the attack
but
of
you would
Ghazni.
also appreciate
In the same way,
Ji, so I don't want to interrupt your flow of thought, but the point
in
is
the
that-
same way, just 10 seconds.
Okay, complete. Ji.
In the same way, today, for entirely unrelated stuff, Rahul Gandhi calls Murtis Nirjeev. Just तरह मूर्तियां निर्जीव होती है, he said that, drawing a comparison with Modi ji's ministers. So, that thought process of ridiculing, subtle ridiculing of our own gods and goddesses, of questioning our faith, has come down the woke Hindus, and I think it's about time. It's high time that is combated effectively, and that is being done. The reason why you see that change in Kolkata.
It is also reflective of the fundamental education system which somewhere separates Hindu from all other faiths, where all other faiths are properly explained, but Hindu is compromised. In a secular country, no faith should be compromised. In a secular country, a Hindu should not be shy of going to the temple, or should not be denied access to the temple and control of the temple as a devotee, whereas all other faiths have
Anand, I
control.
agree with you.
No, I'm just saying. So it's
Anand,
endemic in our system. But
I
what I
agree
was
with you.
wanting to ask you is when I wanted to interrupt you there, is that when you make this argument at that time, the political interpretation or weaponizing of the Hindu way of life is what the opposition is targeting you and the RSS with, saying you are the one who politically weaponized the Hindu faith and the Hindu way to try and co-opt and to further your own political agenda. I think that's where this argument comes. Perhaps I may disagree with them calling it Hindutva, but
Anand,
there is the rationale, and that's where the opposition wants to target you, to say that your way is an extremist way, your way is an exclusive way, your way is not the real Hindu way. That's the crux of the political argument. Kamruji, bear with me. If you can, we'll keep the Hindutva pact aside, but this is the argument you also made. Yes.
Yeah.
Tuinsana.
Can I come in?
Tuinsana, and then Kamruji, I'll come back to you.
Yeah. No. Are you trying to say that a population should not exercise its political ideology, which is influenced by the religion? I think, even Judaism does that, even other religions does that, as long as it is utilized for the good of the nation, for the success of the nation. I think, there is absolutely nothing wrong in it.
See, my point is, this is where the argument is. भारत में रहना है तो जय श्री राम कहना है is not the Hindu way. Hindu ho to Jai Shri Ram कहना is also not the Hindu way, because in the Hindu way there are those who may not believe in Ram. There are Shakyas, there are Shaivites who may believe in Mahadev. But
Hindu
the
way
Hindu way is also that they
These
will
are
chant together.
aberrations.
No. I'm just saying that's where this surface, this argument surface. Kamru Chaudhary, the exception to your argument was that your inference of calling it Hindutva hurts the person who actually believes in the Hindu way, because that's the true essence of being Hindu. That's the word Hindutva itself. Yes, please make your point.
No.
Yeah.
The difference that I wanted to put across was why Hindutva has become so much of a problem for Indians. Our belief in the secular credentials of the constitution, and as an India not believing to the Hindu way of life. Why? What is that? Nehru had warned 75 years ago. Nehruji had warned what Tuin Sinha just now touched upon Jawaharlal Nehru. He said, any attempt to base nationalism on religion must end in disaster. That's what happened in Nazi Germany. That's what we are seeing now in India.
Kamruji, I've limited. Just on the
permitting everybody to complete.
I'm just saying quite.
My argument.
But isn't it quite rich coming from a man who, for his own ambition, allowed the partition of a country on the basis of religion, sir? When Nehruji made this point, Bharat was partitioned on the basis of religion under his very nose, and he watched it. Because he wanted to be Prime Minister.
It was
history. I'm quoting history. History has documented this.
However you change history, we all know how Jawaharlal Nehru created the partition of Sylhet district of Bangladesh, made Sylhet a Muslim majority district into part of India. It was Shyama Prasad Mukherjee who said that we do not want Muslim majority Bangladesh into India. That was the statement of the BJP's founder Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. Go through the minute details of the history. Don't just get into people what they are publishing out here. But Anand, the most important thing is why should India move towards a Hindutva? Why should it? Because it serves to a particular section of the political class. What does Hindutva exactly mean? It means demonizing other religion, practicing supremacy of a particular religion over the others. That's where the problem lies. Because my religion is not supreme to yours. Your faith cannot be supreme to my faith. It's a question of faith. But what Hindutva says is, in 2019, all Hindus...
No. Sir, Hindutva doesn't say it. You want to call BJP and RSS out? You want to say BJP and RSS's politics of around using the Hindu way? Please coin a different term. Please don't use Hindutva is what I'm trying to say. When you keep repeating that, you are deliberately trying to malign the belief of a core Hindu that his essence of being a Hindu is Hinduness. His Hinduness is what you are abusing, sir. That's why I'm repeatedly telling you. But if you... Hinduness is Hindutva, sir. That's the meaning. Tattva. Twa is Hinduness, sir. Should I call you an Islamist?
You are trying to prove.
Sir, should I call you an Islamist because you are a Muslim? Should I call you an Islamist? It's the wrong reference, right? It's the wrong reference. It's the wrong reference, and I will not be correct. I will not be proper there. The same way I am requesting you. Don't call the Hindu way. Don't call the political opposition and your political opposition to BJP's politics as Hindutva politics. It's not Hindutva politics, sir. What every ordinary Hindu in Bharat practices, the Hindu way, the essence of being a Hindu is Hindutva, sir. That's what I'm trying to say. This lexicon is wrong. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan, I have to wind up. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Anand. Just very briefly, two things, because most of the time has been taken by Kamru. Couple of things. Number one, I stand by my statement, although it might sound politically incorrect. Those who hate Hindus and Hinduism hate Hindutva. Because they cannot openly hate Hinduism, they have developed this tangential thing of trying to invent Hindutva as the hateful thing. The profound irony of a panelist, a self-confessed Muslim, saying that Hindutva is supremacist. The irony of a self-confessed Muslim panelist saying that Hindutva hates other religions. Shall I read to him what his holy book says about other religions?
That's what Hindu...
I'll tell you what. You know, there are those... That's what I'm trying to say. Just because on the basis of what the tenets of what certain tenets of the holy book say, is it okay to call every Muslim an Islamist? There is a clear distinction there, right? So that's why I'm urging those who are trying to call those who... the essence of being a Hindu as Hindutva and aligning that and marking that that along with the
Forget
BJP's
about
politics, which
Hindu
they may
scriptures, the
they may
guy needs
oppose,
to read
is
Muslim scriptures,
deliberately
Islamic
selecting the
scriptures.
wrong lexicon with the intent to malign a particular way of life, and
Yeah.
that is
Thank you.
defamatory. That is
Thank you for saying
deliberately defamatory is what I would like to very humbly submit. Thank you very much to our guests. Thank you. Amazing, engaging conversation as always.